You guys, it's Ollie, y'all. This is impromptu because I happen to be walking down the street. I hope y'all can hear me. I have my mic on today. I'm trying to do the right thing because y'all know I don't ever have my mic on. But anyway, I have been meaning to kind of chat about this little nuance with flights and options around flights, and why sometimes I opt out of taking flights, like I prefer not to sometimes, right? But it's about 5 o'clock, so the sun is setting here, and I'm gonna flip it. See, it actually looks darker on the screen than it is. Lighten it up just a little bit. We're gonna talk about these little situations. Here's the old town. But anyway, I'm on my way home. I'm gonna sit down really quick and grab a little bite to eat. Actually, I should walk through. I'm on my way home because I'm getting ready to get back out this evening and explore a little bit of the town at night, because during the day it is vacant. So anyway, I thought I'd come on while I'm walking. If you join this, please let me know if you can hear me, because I won't know until after I check. Okay, until after I'm off, whether or not y'all can hear me. So hopefully I'm not just talking to myself. Y'all see I got my mic on. But anyway, before we do any of that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. If y'all haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel and you'd like to know when I post live videos, or post another video, any videos, or post some of my awesome posts or shorts, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I'm going live or when I post something new that might be pertaining to you, because I got quite a few new things coming up. I'm shifting some things around. So, let's see if I can lighten that because it's starting to get dark outside. Shifting some things around in the way that I deliver and share information with you guys. And so I want to make sure y'all are in the know. These are all the boats. I'm getting off track like I always do, because it's going to be dark soon. So make sure that you guys are in the know about the changes that are coming up, where I'll be sharing information, as YouTube will not be my first source for dropping content. I am finally getting the idealistic kind of Patreon setup going, but planning to do it through my website. So more to come on that. But the notifications will come through here. So if you are subscribed, you'll get the notifications. If you follow me on Facebook, you probably noticed you haven't followed me in a while. I haven't seen anything. Well, my Facebook account was disabled for whatever reason. Don't know. I don't even post bad stuff on Facebook. But anyway, it's gone. And I honestly don't know if I feel like resetting it up, recreating the history that I had there, because I have Instagram and linktr and YouTube. So I'm not fully sold on starting that up again. You guys can see the castle is behind me. So that's a little bit of housekeeping. Just get you guys a little bit in the know, so I do have excuses for my ghosting. Sometimes I don't, but this time I do. So anyway, y'all, want to talk about when and why I be opting out of flights. So you guys know I talk to y'all all the time about flights in Europe and how much more versatile their flight options are in Europe, mainly Europe. A few other places, kind of like the U.S. in terms of cost and availability and routes and stuff like that. But in Europe, you can get like dumb cheap flights and things like that. And so obviously it matters if you are a carry-on king or queen, or if you are a check bag person. And so I'm going to keep it real with y'all. When I travel like this, when I'm gone for, a year, 2 years, 3 years, indefinitely, let me know if y'all can hear me. I have a checked bag. I have my big backpack, which I cannot carry on a flight because it's too heavy and it's just too big. But in the interim, in the in-between, when I'm hopping around to different places, and let's say I finally settle on a location, like I have so many times, like in Tanzania, I ended up going to Egypt. In Albania, I went to Italy and Greece. When I was in Ecuador, I went to many cities, within Ecuador, same with Colombia, and I kept one base and then just travel around. That is my preferred way of travel. And then what that does is, if it's a location that is built up, I'll show you guys. Let you guys see some nice stuff besides my face. So this is the tourist pier here. I'm gonna come back, you guys. I just want to show you. And this is a real castle. Y'all can't really see it. Okay, there we go. A little bit better. That's a real castle. People still live inside. Businesses are still inside. It's like a whole city in there, and it's actually really, really cool. Castle walls, all of that. All right. But anyway, when different locations have their infrastructure set up, their transportation infrastructure set up, it's amazing. Okay. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I swear, as soon as I decide to go live, the wind starts blowing. The wind ain't been blowing since I've been outside all day. Okay. So, and so what that does is, in places where transportation is set up for the people, this is when when you're in a place that is for the people or for the making the money. And the United States is definitely a place that is designed and set up specifically for the capitalist community. So that's one of the very first things that you notice when you travel places is how much more you can get for your buck. And that's if we're only talking about flights. And then one thing that I realized, and I'm going to stop really quick and let this person go by me. He got wheels on his luggage like I got wheels. Like they loud as hell. Okay, so I wish y'all see scenery while I talk. It's a nice little boardwalk. I walk this frequently. Not every day, but almost every day. It's like 3 different routes that I take. So anyway, one of the things that you'll start to notice, I started to notice, is how transportation infrastructure what's the word I'm looking for? It's like we have a deficit in the United States. We don't have a good transpo setup in between states or even cities sometimes. We don't have bus systems. We have an Amtrak that we've had for 544 years. We've got Greyhound bus. And yes, the colleges do have their Sparrow buses and stuff like that. Y'all, but we want nice buses. Like, the only time we see coach buses is if you in Disneyland, DC, or you done booked something and got a personal driver for you and your family. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not the norm in most of the rest of the world, because they build their infrastructure, their transportation infrastructure around the people. And while people have cars, as you can see, people are driving, they also have infrastructure that allows people to move about very easily and at amazing prices. And that's what all these ferries are. And this is a small port. Actually need to go and find out about that one. That's the military one. We don't want that one. But this is one of the ways that you can tell whether or not the systems are set up for the people or set up for those who make the money. So one of the things that you'll notice, like I was saying, when you travel a lot, is in the States, we have flights and all of this. And the flights, and I know somebody else say, yeah, but they got to pay people and they have to this and that. Listen, I have been on 544 million flights. I've been on flights that are 32 minutes where they give you a full can of beer or whatever you drink in a pop and a full size bag of chips. They ain't skimping with no doggone peanuts. I've been on flights that are less than an hour and they give you a full meal included with your ticket, and your flight costs you probably $50. So I'm going to debunk this whole thing that it's about making sure you pay people, except I get it because of our cost of living is high, but it ain't no higher than some of these places. I'm in Greece right now. Greece is equivalent to the US in terms of price. So if the regular everyday people aren't making that kind of money, you can always track it back to how much are their services, right? So anyway, let me get off that soapbox right quick. But that's part of one of the reasons why this is really cool. That's how one of the ways you can enter into the castle. Part of one of the reasons why I opt out of airline travel, even when I'm in Europe. So a couple of things that I think about is, how can I move about? I think about cost, and is it going to get me to my destination, or how far away from my destination am I going to be? And sometimes it's worth it to go the scenic route if I don't have a schedule, if I'm not on a timeline, because then I get to see other things in other places. So this is when all of my travel planning just becomes like it is right now. I'll fill you guys in when I figure out what I'm doing next. But sometimes when you fly, when you're in Europe and you're flying, you have the smaller flights, like what we would equate to Spirit, but with better customer service. So, we get upset about everything being a la carte. But sometimes if you're just taking a 45-minute flight, I don't need Delta service in terms of, you're charging me for a little 2-ounce bottle of water and a handy wipe and some peanuts and maybe a Biscoff. I might not need that. I might not want that. I might simply just want to get from point A to point B for the least amount of money possible, without you saying it's a sale and then charging me to walk onto the plane, right? So sometimes in Europe, if I'm traveling with all of my things, it can be advantageous for me to jump on a flight. And so then I start looking at what are some of the other options. And here it's amazing. And I'm sharing this because if you guys start this travel journey, you may be interested in these other options. So besides flights, here I've got ferries. I can get on a ferry. I can do general seating. I can do assigned seating, depending on the boat. And I can potentially do cabins. Their bus system here is not super. I'm on an island, so the bus is not going across. But when I was in Italy, the train that I took, because you guys know Italy is known for their trains, the train that I took a ferry. I said, what? Included in the price. Took a ferry over to Sicily. So you don't even have to get out. You can actually stay on the train, but it jumps on a ferry. We have that option. You've got bus options. You've got intra trains, buses, so on and so forth. And then you've got flights. And you've got flights that aren't super expensive, where they will get you. Sometimes it's when you start adding bags. But I'll tell you guys, one of the things, and I may do a follow-up on this since I'm walking and bumping around and all of that. One of the things that I noticed, even with taking my flights, like more kind of inter-country flights, the baggage tickets are super cheap. Like I could get priority, pay for the quick pass. So like our clear or clear TSA pre-check, all of that kind of stuff. So you could pay for that. So when we were in Sicily heading to Greece, and we paid like $7 to get priority boarding, priority entry. So, sorry, y'all. I'm walking. Hold on. Let me flip it so you guys can see. So we don't have TSA pre-check over here, but what we do have is the option with some of the airlines to add priority and baggage. Now the interesting thing is you could add, for one airline that I use, you could do priority for $12. That gets you a seat up front. It gets you first boarding and a trolley bag included for $12. So sometimes you're paying a la carte, but it's not the $50, $60, $70 a la carte. Now when you start to cross over to other countries, it usually increases because a lot of times there's a connecting flight and you're on a different airline. And so they have to average out that cost and charge you what the other airline would charge, because they're not going to eat the cost for you taking a bag. So that's what you're going to be paying for. Anyway, the more you travel, the more you kind of start to understand this stuff. So this is one of the sides for people. You guys see all the boats over there, the big yachts, where boat owners can actually park their boats and stuff. Y'all know I love a boat. So anyway, so what I've done is I've become accustomed to looking for alternative options depending on where I am. In Italy, I did not take a plane except to get to Italy. I took a flight to go. I'm going to sit over here, you guys, so that I'm not bumbling. Sit for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I got to get off. I took a flight from Albania to Pisa for $20. I think it was $20. It might not even have been $20. I don't know. Okay, I did that. And then once I got there, I was with a friend, so we moved around pretty easily. And then after that, I jumped on trains. I jumped on a train from Florence to Naples, from Naples to Bari, and then I jumped on a ferry. My first time on an overnight ferry. Jumped on an overnight ferry to Albania. So I jumped countries. Went to Albania, stayed, then came back on the ferry instead of flying over, which I could have flown, but I decided to jump on the ferry because why not take advantage of having one night taken care of in terms of your fees and expenses. Plus, before that, I ended up meeting some cool people. So sometimes when you're taking alternative transportation, you have an opportunity to talk to people and meet people like you guys might be both trying to figure out where you're going. Or just, you recognize someone who has the same dialect as you, and it's an opportunity for you to chat. Hey, Denise and Soshi. Good day. It's called The Fleecing of America, Getting a Little for a Lot. If you don't travel out of the country, you have nothing to compare it to. I would love ferry travel from Taste of It. Girl, of course, all of our states, you can't. Hey, Al. You can't, there's no water, of course, but wouldn't it be neat if the cruises that we have, because these ferry boats, and I'm gonna share more, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, that my videos are going to be housed somewhere else before they post to YouTube. And so I'm setting up where you'll get first access for these types of videos and sharing where I am in real time, because usually I wait until I leave just from a safety perspective, but I'm going to share that with specific members going forward, because I'll be moving around quite a bit. Anyway, what was I saying? Some of the ferries here, I mean, they're cabins, they take cars and trucks and all kinds of stuff, and they run every day, multiple times a day sometimes, and the prices can be $30, $40, $50. My last one was 16 hours and it was $150, but I did get a cabin. And it was a very nice cabin, a single cabin. And they have a shop, they have 3 or 4 restaurants, all of this stuff is included. So it functions just like a cruise. So I always wonder, why is it, at least for coastal cities, we in the States, I mean, I understand maybe kind of why, because we want to regulate so many things and like still make travel what a prestigious thing where only people with certain amount of money can actually do it. I don't know, or certain credentials, ID and stuff can do it or whatever. And it really sucks because it limits people actually getting out here and exploring and or just moving around a different way, right? We don't have great bus services. Like I said, we don't have trains. How do we not? Anyway, and so it would be really cool if, like, even the day ferries from like the Keys or wherever they go from in Florida to Bahamas, like they have day ferries that are super cheap. Well, they used to be kind of cheap, round trip for like $60. I don't know what they cost now. And they have cabins and stuff on those, but those are simple. You could just hop on and hop off to different islands and things. Imagine if they had something like that went from Louisiana to Alabama or Louisiana to Florida, or, swung around. And yeah, you got to kind of, I don't know if you can cut all the way through. You have to go all the way down to Panama, but then they'd have something on the West Coast. So they got the big cruise lines, but also something that does like day-to-day trips. So if you want to do a day trip to a coastal city, you can simply do that without driving through, the streets. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? I personally think it would. The other thing was, when I was in Ecuador, I took buses everywhere. $4 buses, $5 buses. Y'all, these buses run 20 times a day. 20 times a day. I ended up seeing 6 cities. I only took a flight into Ecuador and a flight to Manta. I think I flew to Manta. Either that or I took a bus, but I think I flew to Manta. And then everything else, I took a bus. A bus to Cuenca, a bus to Montanita, a bus to San Lopez, a couple other cities that I went to. Cuenca, I took a bus to. Guayaquil, I took a bus to. And these buses, the most was $9 one way. for a bus, and they're nice coach buses, right? So you can't tell me that it can't be done. For whatever reason, we just won't put those types of services and infrastructure in place. We create more jobs. They be jamming. Hey. See what time it is, y'all. I got to get back to my room. And so because of the different options that I see here, it really kind of, well, I'm not in the States anyway. So like, when I get back to the States, it is what it is. I move around the way that I need to move around to get from point A to point B, and it's done, one and done. But since I've been in Italy and Greece, I'm like boycotting flights. Like right now, I'm trying to go to a whole nother country, and there's a ferry that goes to the other country. I could take a flight, but the flight's going to take me backwards, and it's going to take me 6 or 7 hours and like a whole day or something like that. When I can jump on a ferry from here to there for an hour and 45-minute ferry. It's not going to the city I actually want to stay in, but I can jump on a 2-hour bus for $16 after that. And that's cross country. Those are different countries, right? So there's a ferry that goes from, because they do day trips. They do day trips from different countries, y'all. So, no, I don't boycott flights 100%, but I really think about every single option that I can muster. And because, like you said, Denise, I've traveled and had the experience, I know that these things exist. I also know that they're safe. Not everything is safe. I took buses in Egypt. I took buses by myself. Girl that I met, we took the train from, where did we take the train? From Luxor down to Aswan. Arrived at 1:30 in the morning, but had people waiting for us and all of that. And outside of it wasn't pristine. And then where you got to sit and wait for the bus, you got to be on your P's and Q's in terms of like, you got to know the bus, not the bus, the train is coming and that's your train. Not too hard because there's only like 2 tracks, but it starts to make you become more aware of where you are, where you're going. I think a lot of times we move about and, you're so lax with things that you don't think about, getting from point A to point B and just understanding how all of this functions and whether or not, when you have to have your passport, when an ID is okay, when you don't need nothing. I will be sharing some experiences and steps to take overnight ferries from like Bari, Italy to Albania, Durrës, Albania, because that particular ferry is completely a wreck. the not the ferry itself is fine, but getting your tickets and getting on the ferry is the only ferry that I've been on where I couldn't use my phone to QR code or whatever. But I'm going to be sharing some of that information as well, and these are like just my hands-on experiences and things like that. But it once these options became available, it opened up more doors to how to do things and more options. And so I'm not limited because there's no flight that goes such and such. So I was looking at a certain day and I was like, crap, these flights are awful. And I'm going backwards in time. I got to go over here to over here. And like when you're trying to get to some place like, let's say Cyprus, but it takes me to Luxembourg first. Yo, Cyprus is down the street. Why do I have to go to Luxembourg? Well, there's no ferry that goes to Cyprus. However, I could, take a quick route to Turkey instead. And, so just knowing that you have these options and you can kind of move about the system a little bit differently in terms of, I say differently, but with knowledge, with awareness. So you're planning and not blindly. You're planning based on having access to more information, right? So all of that just makes it more exciting to travel. And that's going to like feed into, like I was going to talk about, what do you do when you get discouraged, when you think you failed? You know, you're just like, you're trying to live this life, but you're just like, this is not working. I can't figure this out. I can't get started. I've got some tips. Maybe I'll do that one tomorrow, because I'm going to get up and head on back to my hotel, so I can get ready this evening. Eat a little food. Yeah, I ain't ate all day. But I want to say that even with all of the nuances and things that I have, I've run across that I wasn't expecting, things like the trains are canceled. And I swear to God, I was like, why is it that the only train that's canceled, it wasn't the only one, but that's what you see at first, were the ones that I was trying to get on. I was trying to get from Bari to Naples, and that's like a 6 hour, 4 or 5, depending on the train. And then you got to stop in between, so you got to jump off. And I got all my bags, I got all my luggage, because I'm moving now, and all of this, and even barring all the different things that happen, that throw little wrenches or little speed bumps in our path. I love having the options. I love being able to say, and cheap options, right? So for example, my ferry from Albania to Italy, and Italy to Albania was 58 USD. So like 52. No, I'm sorry, it was 48 euro. So it's close to like 54 or something. Oh my God, I got the hiccups. Excuse me, 56 USD. And the nice thing about that is that actually covers a hotel night, because it's an overnight ferry. Now, I could have flown for just as cheap, but then I would have to go to the airport. I would have had to take a shuttle bus back. It's super cheap. That's only $1.80, $6 from the airport, but €6 from the airport, or not even €6, 600 lek, which is like $6 from the airport. And if you jump on the big city bus, it's only $1.80, right? But you got to get from there to somewhere else. Anyway, it becomes about sometimes about convenience. And I know sometimes we think flights are most convenient, and they can be in terms of the duration of the flight, but getting to the airport 3 or 4 hours early, getting through, whatever else you got to go through, flying. I'm going to tell you right now, if y'all can avoid it, avoid Frankfurt, Germany as a transfer airport. Just don't do it. I've seen like 25 different flights that I want to take, and all of them go through Frankfurt. And I am like, I will walk instead, because if I can avoid that airport, I will for the rest of my life. First time my bags have ever been lost. That's weird. Anyway, yes. So the cost and the convenience starts to become relative to what it is that you're wanting to accomplish. I had time. I wasn't pressed or rushed for anything, so I could take the more ease route, where I could just chill and relax, and not be pressured with, okay, as soon as I get there, I got to like go, get a hotel or whatever, find something, and all of these things. I can kind of chill, get there in the morning, and then move about as I need to. And then sometimes when you don't, and you're pressed, like let's say you got to get on a flight, you got to be somewhere by 9 p.m. the next day. And so you got a little bit of wiggle room to get there. Your only option might be a flight. And so when we were in Italy, me and my brother, we were in Italy. What was nice about these options, you guys, is if there was a train that was missed and we couldn't get on one of the other 50 trains, we could jump over to the airport. Like, we had calculated what the cost for the flight would be and all of that. Like when we were in Greece and went to another island, we put our stuff in storage. We did a $10 luggage thing, and some of them start at $5, depends on the size of your luggage. But we ended up doing that. That's another option. I should do a video on options specifically. So you don't have to take all your things with you. You could just take what you need, because we knew we were coming back and then going on from there. So it made more sense financially and from a convenience standpoint to leave things and jump on a ferry, overnight ferry. Save the money, go overnight. You ain't doing it but sleeping overnight anyway, so we might as well just sleep on this ferry. And so having the ability to decide how you're going to spend your time, where you want to spend your time, where you want to spend your money. Like I was saying, sometimes we don't want the a la carte service or process, but we also don't necessarily want what they're saying we're paying for a 45-minute, hour and a half flight, 2 hours, even a 3-hour flight. We're not getting amazing amenities with these $400-500 flights from Dallas to Oklahoma. Round trip now to Oklahoma is $250. It's a 45-minute drive. How does that make sense, right? And I get it, because in the grand scheme of things, it feels like it's more convenient. It's getting you there right on time. If you don't have any check on luggage, you just jump on and jump off the flight. It's within state, so you don't need passports. You ain't got to go through immigration. I get it. But when you do have time and you can make the decisions and say, okay, I'm not going to spend $400 on something when I can, take the bus, right? And I also understand too that it's a prestige thing as well. So we look at, what we call, like, these other modes of transportation as menial modes of transportation. And I know people may not admit that, but in reality, some people are like, why would I get on a ferry and go somewhere? Why would I'm not getting on no bus. Like, it's beneath us to take a bus from New York to Maryland. They don't do that, but I'm just saying, right? But what if it was a nice coach bus, got you there on time, had TVs? In Egypt, the bus line, they give you a whole snack box. A whole snack box. TVs, everything beautiful. $12 from Cairo to Hurghada. $12. $12. So I know a lot of times sometimes we look down on some of these modes of transportation, and we associate it with lower class, or you don't have enough money, or whatever the case may be. Y'all, that's not the case. That's not the case. I found that, like I was saying earlier, when governments are set up to support the people rather than the business mogul. I don't know if that's the best word, but the capitalist, the one who's making the most from the upcharges, right? And I have to say that I happen to like being in places where the country, the government, the system is set up based on what the needs of the people are. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, y'all, because I got to run. Starting to get a little nippy out here. But anyway, hopefully that shed a little bit of light on why you'll see me on a ferry before you'll see me on anything, in places where there are ferries, and you'll see me on a bus instead of a flight sometimes. Because sometimes that 1 hour flight becomes 6 hours, and it's stressful, and I don't even want to deal with it. And sometimes it's not. Some airports are great, so on and so forth. But anyway, the point of this is to let you know that I don't want you to be limited by what you see in the United States, what we have access to in the United States. While, we may think that it's the greatest and this, that, and the other, there's options, there's alternatives to what you know. And you might surprise yourself, or just be surprised that, wow, I can actually do more with the conveniences of having options. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Anyway, so I'm going to get out of here, you guys. Just wanted to come on and chat because I was walking. Felt like just spend a little time. So I'm going to get out of here, and I will chat with you guys another time. Stay tuned. Like I said, subscribe and you'll know when I'll be rolling out some of these other platforms where you guys will have access to more of the content. All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you back another time. I don't know if I'm going to leave this video up or not, depending on how it came over. So get it, get it while you can. Thanks, Denise. All right, I'm out of here, you guys. Let me just, oh, hold on. I forget I can, it's nighttime now. And nights, it comes alive here, so I'm also going to talk about that too. I'm going to talk about city life in one of my videos, versus city days. And if you're familiar with traveling to anywhere outside of the United States, literally anywhere, even in, and I say United States, not America, because the other Americas function like Europe, but places come to life at night, whereas during the day you'll be like, nobody outside. Where the people at? Okay, anyway, y'all, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks, Elle. See you guys later. Toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease. Put my big thumb in the picture.